Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So, for today's video, I wanted to define some booktube terms for you guys because I know that when I first started watching booktube, I got super overwhelmed and super confused by all of the different abbreviations and stuff that were used. I made a list of a bunch of different terms that are frequently used when booktubers make videos or people post on Bookstagram or, you know, on blog posts, etc. in the book community that I just kind of had to learn as I went while watching booktube that were a little bit confusing. I figured them out eventually, obviously, but I'm making a video to maybe condense that and help you learn a little quicker if you're confused. I know a video like this would have helped me, and I don't know that there are a bunch of them. I'm sure that there are some, but I don't feel like there are a bunch of them, and so I just wanted to make one full of all the terms that I could think of and help you out if you're maybe struggling a little bit. So I have a list written down in my notebook because I'm old-fashioned and just a grandma. And we're gonna go through it, and I'm gonna explain everything and try to give examples of each. So the first one that threw me for a loop when I first started watching these videos was the abbreviation TBR. And I think I saw it eventually defined in a video read by Zoe maybe. A TBR is just to be read. That's what it stands for. So if I were to upload, like, I posted my February TBR this month. That is just all of the books that I plan to read in the month of February. Some people do it monthly, some people do it, you know, just in every amount of increments that they want to. Other people do it annually. It just depends, but that's what it is. It's just to be read, the books that they want to read. Next is a wrap-up. I feel like it's self-explanatory, but it's not if you're brand new to like the book community online, at least. And that is exact opposite of a TBR. That's all the books that you've read in a certain amount of time. So if you're doing like a yearly wrap-up, it's all of the books that you've read in the year. Some people do those semi-annually, some people do those monthly. I like to do them monthly personally, but not everyone reads a bunch of books just because they don't have time, which is perfectly fine. But I read about 5 books every month, roughly. I didn't read that many last year, and just as I've been part of the book community, I've started reading more, and so monthly wrap-ups fit me and my channel best. But other people do them, like I said, annually, biannually, semi-annually. It just depends on the person and their channel and all of that stuff. Some people don't even like to post those videos at all, but a lot of people do them monthly, and that's what I like to do as well. It's just all the books that I have read or anyone has read in that month. This one I feel like is not super popular, but I've heard it before, and I just wanted to define it for you in case you've heard it or you hear it and you just don't know what it is. A tome, that is a pretty large book. So an example of that would be like Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. This one is just over 500 pages, so a lot of people define a tome as like 500 pages and up, so a lot of Brandon Sanderson's books, would be considered tomes. Another example that I have just chilling on my bed because I just filmed another video is A Curse So Dark and Lonely. This one's 477 pages, so not quite at the 500 page mark, but a pretty large book that takes a decent amount of time generally to get through. That's what a tome is. So I know there is a Tome Topple readathon that has been hosted in the past. I don't know if they still host it. I think it's A Little Book Owl who hosts it, but that's where you try and read a bunch of fairly large books, which brings us to our next term, and that is readathon. So I'm gonna use the Booktubeathon as an example. That is a week-long readathon where there are challenges set, and basically there are challenges so that it's just a way to encourage people to read a lot more in a certain amount of time. So the Booktubeathon is a week-long readathon, so that is a week where a lot of people in the book community read as much as they possibly can within a week, and there are challenges. You don't have to complete them by any means, but there are challenges available if you want to, you know, challenge yourself even more. Not everyone does this, obviously. Not everyone makes videos for it, obviously. Some people prefer to do Bookstagram challenges, other people do blog posts. It's a very inclusive readathon. There are other readathons too. Murphy Napier is doing the readathon, I think in March maybe, so I'll try and link that below, and I think it's over here, I believe, on the I button. I will try and link that. Just so you guys can watch that video if you want another example for a readathon or to participate. She's an amazing booktuber, my favorite booktuber of all time. YouTuber also. Next is a guilty pleasure read. I feel like this is another one that might be self-explanatory, but also maybe not, so I'm just throwing it in here. That's just something that, like, generally on Booktube, it's more like, I forgot to grab an example of this. It's a book that, like, you know, isn't maybe super well written, or it's not the most original. It's just, it gives you a lot of, you know, fun to read it, even though it's not mind-blowing. It's just something super easy, and I don't know, I'm trying to not be mean about it because they're fun reads for a reason. So an example of this, a really popular one on Booktube, is The Selection, which I have read, and I really loved that one. It was just like a super drama-filled series, so it's kind of like modern reality TV for books. A book unhaul. So if you've heard of a book haul or a haul in general, that's someone getting a bunch of books and showing them to you. A book unhaul is exactly the opposite. It's people getting rid of books and clearing off their shelves. I have done one of these before. Who was it? I think Books and Lala did the book unhaul challenge. I think or book unhaul tag, and a bunch of people did that. I think she created it. So there are a bunch of examples for that. I'll try and again link them down below and up here. Maybe it's up here. I think it's up here though. I don't know. You'll see the I. A bunch of people did that, and that is a more specific book unhaul, but generally it's just getting rid of books that you either don't want, have multiple copies of, or you didn't enjoy. A bunch of different things. Next is a read along, which is similar to a buddy read. A read along is like, they did the GG and LG read along last year. Books with Chloe did it with someone else, I don't remember. But that is where, like, they said, okay, we're going to be reading Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue from this date to this date. Read it along with us, and then we're gonna host a live show. So a read along is just a real, like, it's, I don't know, it's so similar to a buddy read, I don't want to screw it up, but it's basically where a bunch of people read a book all at the same time, and then a lot of times there will be a live show to discuss that book. A buddy read is where it's most of the time just a couple of people reading the same book at the same time and discussing it, like via DM or text message or something like that, but they'll read the book at the same time and try and pace it so that they're in like the same-ish spot at the same time, so that they can enjoy that reading experience together, or, you know, trash the book together, whatever the case may be. Sometimes in readathons there are buddy reads. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I think you understand. Someone reads the same person as another person at the exact same time intentionally so that they can talk about it. I feel like that one is a little bit more intimate than a read along, but both are fun. I'm really bad at them, so I've never done it before, but according to people who have done them before, it seems like it would be a lot of fun because you can... Actually, I've done it once, and it was for school, but I still failed at that one. Next up is DNFs, because I forgot this, and I'm refilming this, by the way. I forgot it in the original video. A DNF is did not finish. Sometimes people, generally on Booktube, this is a pretty permanent decision, so they're not just saying like, oh, I DNF'd this I'll come back to it later. Sometimes people come back to them later, but a lot of times it's a very permanent decision and they just stop with a book when they're really not enjoying it, they really have problems with it, or it's a million different reasons. But generally it's they don't like it, they have problems with it, and they're just not enjoying it anymore. It's not worth their time. That can be kind of controversial. I don't think it's very controversial, but other people in the booktube community are very sensitive to DNFs when people DNF their favorite books. The last one that I have to talk about is ARCs, and that is an advanced reader's copy. So in order to promote a book, a lot of times publishers will send out ARCs to people with bookish platforms. You can request ARCs, and like I said, maybe an ARC is just an advanced reader's copy. So before the book actually comes out, I do not have an example of this, I've never received an ARC. Before a book actually comes out, publishers will send ARCs so that people can talk about the book and promote it, so that people will read it and buy it, and they can have really good sales at least the first week and just in general when the book comes out. So that's what an ARC is. It's just publishers trying to promote the book early. Sometimes there won't be the cover on it, it'll be a different cover. Sometimes there will be typos and different mistakes. It's definitely not the final copy of the book. There are often things changed from the ARC to the finished edition. It's just a way to get it out there and get the general idea of the story out. Those are all of the terms that I have to define today. I really hope that you guys found this video helpful or at least enjoyable. I hope that I defined them all correctly. I feel really badly if I don't. Correct me on anything or clarify, because I'm not super great at this, but I wanted to help and give a general idea for people who might be struggling to understand these terms, because I was seriously so overwhelmed. I hope that this helped. Let me know if it did. Let me know if I screwed something up completely and I need to learn it again. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you all in my next one. Bye guys.